Yo, what's poppin', bagel bros? And welcome back to Crunchy's Decompression Chamber. If you missed the last episode, it was a patron exclusive, and so that was near the beginning of last month. I wanted these to be bi-monthly, but for obvious reasons, I was a bit busy last month. And so I hope you'll excuse me not quite sticking to what I wanted the series to be in terms of scheduling, but I think these upcoming few episodes will be within rapid enough succession of each other that you'll be satisfied. And I actually did try to record one of these around the middle of last month, just because I did have a lot on my mind, but my thoughts were kind of vague. I didn't really understand where my own feelings were coming from in that specific decompression chamber. I guess the emotions I was trying to decompress were pretty fresh on my mind, and so it was a bit of a mess, and some of it was too personal for me to really speak on, and so there were a lot of sections where I was just like, I'm not going to go into too much depth for reasons, but, I'm back with stuff that I actually can talk about. So, this might be obvious. The Nyan Neko Sugar Girls video is out, or is it cancelled? So, the way I announced it to patrons, and by the way, sorry about my sinuses, they have immediately clogged up. I need to get out of this state. I hate pollen. It's harvest season. Could you tell? I certainly could tell when I was re-recording lines for the Nyan Neko Sugar Girls video. So, the way I announced this was pretty fucking mean, actually. I was, DMing Neon, obviously in invisible mode, because for the past 2 weeks on Discord, upwards of that even, I have been on invisible mode on Discord so that I don't have to respond to anyone's messages. I can just pretend that I'm not online, even though I very obviously am. And so, I've been sort of getting back into the swing of things, but there's still a lot of people's messages that I'm just ignoring that I have to get to. But I'm an asshole, so I keep putting it off. Especially because I've already been doing that for the past 2 weeks, so it's kind of easy at this point. But I pinged everyone with a patron post entitled "The Nyan Neko Sugar Girls video is cancelled," and then the text of that post, which was only visible to like 8 people in the server who were my patrons, was a very lengthy satirical post about how the Nyan Neko Sugar Girls video is actually, it doxes like a dozen people. It doesn't. Or, I interviewed Yoli for it. I didn't. And she hated the video and didn't want me to release it. She didn't. And I'm actually, all my old videos are problematic. Some of them are, but those ones are unlisted. And I'm sure some of the ones that are still up are, I know some of them are fucking horrible, but the really bad ones aren't online anymore. They're unlisted and or private, so, who cares? But for that one, I was like, oh, but my Rent-A-Girlfriend video is bullying and harassing Reiji Miyajima. Not really. It's harsh. Some could even argue too harsh, but I would not go so far as to say it's bullying, and certainly not harassment. Then I say that I'm going to rebrand first I'm saying that I'm going to therapy. I'm not. And then I say I'm gonna rebrand to Big Studio and make emotionally sensitive anime content. Basically, just one last middle finger at the person who was once Digibro before I go on my merry way to say, hey, more information in this video that I'm gonna link to you. And it's the Nyan Neko Sugar Girls video in its entirety, in all 109 minutes of it. So yeah, that ended up being the final runtime of the video. I'm very happy that it's under 2 hours, because that's what I was afraid of, because once a video is over 2 hours, I think it becomes basically inaccessible to most people. Obviously there's a market for it. I am that market. I'm one of H-Bomber Guy's biggest fans, I'm sure. But, you know, for a lot of people, they see that and go, well, what the fuck? I don't have all day. Now, after that point, only teenagers really have time for your video for the most part, or adults who watch it piecemeal over the course of a week. So, it's done. And the process of getting it out, specifically this past month, was fucking arduous. Especially because life would randomly throw me curveballs, like jury duty. Yeah, I had to serve on it. Well, I didn't end up serving on the jury, but I had to go to the place, the fucking courthouse, and, you know, I had it all explained to me. And I was really nervous when it came to, you know, the judge put us all in a room, started asking us questions. And so I would constantly raise my hand and, like, ask for little clarifications, or like, oh, you know, I have this thing. Does that count in what you're talking about? I think I came off like an idiot, because all of my questions were redundant and pointless and bad. All of them. Every time I raised my hand, it was to say something fucking stupid. And maybe that's the reason why I wasn't chosen to serve on the jury? And if so, goddamn, it worked out in my favor. I did not want to spend all day on jury duty. God, nothing seems more unpleasant. But I'm getting way off topic. The point is, this past month was hell. And the reason why is because the final month of the Neon Neko Sugar Girls is really for a few reasons. First of all, it was just busy work. All of it was busy work. I re-recorded basically all the audio in that video. I think I used a line from no, it wasn't even a line, it was me burping in one of my earlier takes, because it was something that just happened spontaneously and I liked it, and so I kept it in the final recording. And then obviously I re-recorded things and I can't just burp on command, and so I reused that out of necessity. But otherwise, it's all stuff recorded in my bedroom with my new microphone. And re-recording that and putting it all together, resyncing the entire video, sucked. It was boring, it was busy work, and for basically every video I've made, well, almost all of them, there comes a certain point where I'm no longer messing around and, you know, trying interesting editing ideas and doing weird shit for the hell of it. There comes a certain point where I just want the video out already. And that was about the point where I wanted the goddamn video out already. And where I just stopped caring about the, you know, specifics of quality and whatnot, and I'm just like, whatever's easier. And you could very much see that in the final things I did for this video. Although, actually, I'm lying a little bit. I made that end screen. That was one of the final things I put in the video. The parody of the End of Ava poster. I thought that turned out spectacularly, and I did in fact spend a fair bit of time on it, and a fair bit of creativity. But I also had that envisioned from the very beginning. Or like some of my doodle of the scarecrow, that I did near the end, although that was pretty quick, because it's just a silhouette. That picture of me, Crunchy-chan, in the half-unfinished state, looking into the sunset. I came up with the idea for that. I had written in the AMV as a note in Arial font, like, do this later, it's gonna be, I mean, the current plan is for it to be Bagel-chan looking out into the sunset. I came up with the idea for it to be one half on notebook paper, sketched out and unfinished, near the very end of the project, and I was like, oh my god, that's such a perfect visual. It like wraps up all the themes of the video. It's perfect. So I do tell a little bit of a lie. There were a few super experimental things near the end, and like shit that took a while. But otherwise, it was very much just like, I want this thing out already. And the biggest driver of that, I feel, is when a video takes longer than I expect it to. Now, this entire video has constantly been taking longer than I expect it to. I initially had it pegged as like a 30 to 40 minute video tops, not an hour and 49 minute video, obviously. And so, you know, it's been taking longer than I expected for quite a while. But the big breaking point was, I was talking in my video about deadlines. That was the last decompression chamber I did. And I was talking about how, you know, the deadline, I thought the true deadline, or I think I actually talked about this in the first video as well, in the decompression chamber series, how the true deadline for that video, or what I felt was the true deadline, was August 31st, for it to be done, for the most part, for there to be a certain amount of it done, that I did not do. And so, once I passed that, and realized that, you know, my idea for the deadline was actually not only wrong, but extremely unreasonable, and I had to spend an extra month and some on it. Needless to say, a lot of my motivation for the project fell apart, and it took, I'd say, the better, probably like half of the month for me to get back into the mood to be like, okay, I'm putting all my effort into this. And so it could have probably been out sooner if I had been tryharding it the entire time, but I'm also not sure if I could have kept that up, because it is exhausting to do that, especially like near the end, right? So once again, I work part-time, in quasi-fast food, kind of, but because of that, like for example, rendering. I would often render a video and then, you know, have it go on while I'm at work, then go home, immediately watch the rendered version of the video, find some editing mistake, and, you know, let's say this is me working closing shift, and so I'm watching this at like 1 a.m, and so, you know, I watch the entire thing and go, wow, that had some editing mistakes, and so I start rendering it, fall asleep, wake up the next morning, and depending on what shift I'm working, either watch it first thing in the morning, or immediately go to work and watch it when I get home, and then be like, oh, there's more editing mistakes, and I'm going to re-render it, and then in that case, I'd probably have enough time to watch it again before I went to bed and did it all again. But basically, scheduling becomes difficult when it takes like 2 to 3 hours to fully render a video. I think it was like 2.5 for whenever I rendered the Neon Echo Sugar Girls video. That's actually a pretty good render time considering its total runtime. Way better than my old computer. And so, yeah, when it takes that long to render something, and when the video is that long, you can only really watch it a couple times a day if you have a job, like I do. And I had to re-render that video 9 times. Yeah, 9 whole times. It sucked. In fact, I was watching my own video on 2 times speed after the first time through, because I did not have enough time to fucking watch the whole thing, nor did I want to, really. Because I've already, I mean, first of all, re-recorded every single line like 5 times. Probably an average of 5 takes per part of that video. Like 5 different run-throughs of the entire script, rather. Because I kept having mic issues, and acoustics issues, and experimenting with trying to make it sound better. And eventually I did get it to sound good, but even then, I have issues with the final recording for that video. If I had more time, I would definitely re-record chapter 5, because the audio is kind of all over the place in that chapter, because I would normalize like individual sections of the audio, but they normalized to different levels, and it was a mess. And for some reason I thought I could like amplify certain lines just in Vegas and be like, oh, okay, well, you put that on a track with like +1 dB, and then boom, it's like it's the same volume as everything else, neglecting the fact that everything is compressed and limited, such that doing so would make it so that every single word I'm saying is clipping. Like, why? You can't just do that. And so I don't know what I was thinking there, probably from the sleep deprivation that I was going through from juggling this video and a job. That's, I guess, one of the big things that making this video entailed, which is putting off every other obligation until the last possible minute. And now is my chance to finally get back to some of those obligations, because the video is done. Like, for example, texting friends. I haven't done that in a while. I haven't talked to my friends in voice chat in probably over a month. Driving school, because I got a speeding ticket. I've been putting that off forever, because I'm like, oh, but I'm gonna do it after I finish the Neon Neko Sugar Girls video, and then I keep on not finishing it, and then it never gets done. Now I can do it, and I'm still within the deadline for those classes, so we're doing a-okay. I actually have like over a month to do them. That's cool, but I genuinely put them off for like multiple months. Meanwhile, my aunt and grandma were like, dude, just do the classes already. Just get them out of the way. We're worried you're gonna forget. And it's gonna be like a stain on your driving record, and it's gonna drive up your insurance. And I know they're worried for me for very sincere reasons, but I'm like, nah, fuck that. I need to work on this video. Video needs to get done. Video takes priority over all else. So yeah, that's another thing I was putting off. I'm trying to think of all the things I'm putting off because of this video. For example, having a life, having free time. That's one thing I'm definitely, have been putting off for this video, because if you take into account the part-time job and the video, I'm probably working like 50 to 60 hours a week until now that it's done. So obviously, if you're working that much, you don't really have time to do much else. It's rough. It really is. Don't make a video this big while having a part-time job. You will regret it. It will be something that consumes your entire life. So how do I feel now that the Neon Neko Sugar Girls video is out? Cause I'll get into a lot more of the process of actually making it when I do the making of for the Neon Neko Sugar Girls video, which I actually have an interesting plan for. However, I don't really want to think about the video right now. I, frankly, don't want to think about it ever again. Because, you know, especially near the end, with constantly rewatching it and realizing it does have flaws, it isn't a total masterpiece in all regards. I think it runs on a bit too long. I don't think it justifies its runtime, and when you get near the end, you do sort of, you know, the holes of the video start to show themselves, and you start to realize, like, oh, there isn't really that interesting of a story here. It's, you know, the video is very weirdly structured, such that it is the very meta story of guy goes insane watching Neon Neko Sugar Girls and making a documentary about it, while also having these realizations about art and YouTube and stuff like that. It's basically just relaying my journey through this subject, but obviously I'll get more into that during the making of, which I have a neat idea for that I want to try out. But I guess it hasn't hit me that it's done yet, because right now the video is in patron testing phase, early access, if you will. And so there's still theoretically room to change it. And because there is that possibility, it doesn't feel complete. The current plan is to release it on October 8th, probably around 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., probably like 12, around then, because I usually wake up at 10. 10 is when I would like to wake up, if it weren't for my job, and if it weren't for tomorrow, a podcast recording. I'm gonna have to watch Whisper of the Heart tomorrow morning, which should be fun. I've heard it's a good movie. I'm also watching Oshinoko for the podcast tonight, which means I probably shouldn't be recording this right now, and I probably shouldn't have spent time playing Geometry Dash earlier, because I still do have obligations. But, I wanted to do this. Remember, the video's done. I do what I want to do now. And what I want to do is do every idea that I had before, or not before, but like during the process of making this video for nearly 7 months. And just do them. So, but yeah, I'm getting a bit unfocused here, but I want to hone in on, I guess, my emotional feelings about the video before I get into what I will be doing in the near future. Because my emotions, it's not even necessarily relief yet. It's just kind of nothing. It just kind of feels like thing done, now life move on. It's very nothing. And it's a weird feeling. And I wonder if I will feel more when I actually release it. But right now, there was a time when I was like re-rendering that video where I just started to fucking hate it, where I was like, oh my god, actually, this video isn't even that great after all. It's not even a masterpiece. It might not even be my best video. Obviously, that was just frustration from having to render it so many goddamn times. Now that it's actually up on YouTube, unlisted for patrons, I'm like, yeah, it's my magnum opus. Obviously. All the responses I've gotten so far are pretty positive. What few I've gotten. Neon is, last I checked, about 20 minutes into the video, and he says that so far it is my best work. So, I'm glad about that. Redneck, as far as I can tell, has finished it. I haven't asked for his in-depth thoughts yet, but I assume that'll come during VC, which we're supposed to do tomorrow. We were gonna do it the day before today, so yesterday, but stuff got in the way. Life moves on. And I guess that's another reason why my reaction to the video being finished emotionally has been so muted compared to what I expected, which is that, before this, when a project was done, days were just free. Nothing planned, nothing to do. I would have a few days entirely to myself. And I think that does a lot in just mentally resetting me, where it's like, oh, this is what it's like to not have anything to do. But as discussed in the first decompression chamber, I'm an adult now. I don't get that anymore because I have a job and obligations outside of that. And specifically for this video, stuff that I've been putting off, like the patron rants. I forgot to mention that entirely, but I do have to do those, and now is the time. Now I don't have the excuse. And so, however not work it is, it's still an obligation. Yeah, there's a lot to do, still. And specifically today, it sort of hit me how You know, because I always imagined, like, oh, life without the Neon Necco Sugar Girls video. It's just nothing, freedom. Everything is good and fine and dandy. Then today I had work, and it was actually a really shitty shift because I was getting constant orders and I hadn't eaten breakfast that day, and so I got hangry in the middle of shift and made myself some breadsticks, and then I got a bunch of orders and couldn't even eat them for 2 hours. 2 goddamn hours, and I had to piss really bad, and it took me a long time to even get enough orders done to do that. To just take a piss break, and I was the only one in the kitchen, so I couldn't just let someone else do it for me. Yeah, shift sucked today. Just random vent about that. And obviously those are all tiny, minuscule issues, like, yeah, just eat breakfast, dumbass. And once I ate, I did feel a lot better about shift. Go figure, eating food makes you not hate life. I forget to eat, though, so I forget to do it all the time now. Probably because I work in a kitchen and smell food constantly. It's messed with my appetite. All I've had today are those breadsticks, by the way. It's 9 p.m. now. All I had was breadsticks today. Good lord. How have I not lost comical amounts of weight yet? I've just now realized, oh yeah, that was the only thing I ate today. Holy shit. I'm getting off topic again. But on top of that, I also do have the podcast to do, which once again, is it work? No, not really. But is it an obligation? Yes, and it's a total of like probably 6-hour obligation. No, the actual recording is probably like 2.5, 3 hours. Plus you've got a 2-hour movie to watch, and then Ocean of Co might even be 7 hours total. No, probably more like 6.5. But either way, still something that takes time to do. And so I have that. Thankfully I have no work tomorrow, but then I'm coming in the day after that to work closing shift, I think 3 days in a row, which is great. I love closing shift. Closing shift is my favorite because it gives me most of the day to myself, and then because, you know, we close at 11:15 p.m., you literally, unless you're in pure cram mode, you can't do anything productive after you finish work. It's like, that's the clear deciding end point of the day. There is nothing more to do after that. It's just extra innings if you decide to do anything else. But otherwise, like, you're completely fine to just cut it off there. Now, obviously, I don't actually have work to do now, except for the podcast, but you know. So, the current plan, I guess, release the video on the 8th, which may or may not come to pass. And the current plan is to release this decompression chamber at the same time as the video, as well as a patron-exclusive clip that I cut from the video. It's like 30 seconds long. It's just a meme edit I made. But unfortunately, I decided to put Time Gear from the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon over a certain section, and it made it like super emotional and super intense, and is like my favorite part of the video, and I couldn't ruin it with a fucking meme edit. I couldn't justify it in my head, unfortunately, even though it's really funny, and I really like it, and I wish it was in the video, but I couldn't find any other place to put it. It's tragic. It's legitimately tragic, and so I need everyone to see it. There's actually a lot of cut content from this video. Stuff that, a lot of it I'm probably never going to release. Even though it was mostly edited. Yeah, crazy. But there was just like a third of chapter 4 got ended up on the cutting room floor just because that chapter wasn't that interesting. and I didn't want to make it longer than it needed to, and a lot of that stuff was pretty beside the point and kind of just wasting time, which, to be fair, is the joke of the chapter. Within the context of my research, this is the dead end. And, you know, I'm taking you on this entire journey with me through my research, and so I wanted to include it, especially because other chapter, like, you can't just not talk about Sawkin, or yes, Sayukin, or in Wolf Lover 007, but, you know, I had to talk about it, but I decided to make it just as short as I thought it could be. So after that, because tomorrow, I mean, I've basically got my day cut out for me. At 1, we're recording the podcast, maybe like 1:30 to 2 at the latest, because, you know, maybe I won't finish the movie on time. Neon can't delay that far because of the hurricane that's coming towards his house soon. He can't delay like another day or whatever, because, you know, he might not be able to record. And then he has stuff going on with his GF that evening, and so obviously, like, one already was delaying it pretty far, because I was like, what's the latest we could possibly record for this fucking podcast? And so I do really want to get that movie seen as quickly as I can. Neon should just have the night with his GF. Come on. give my man the movie night with his girlfriend. And then obviously, yeah, I don't want to delay it a full day. And then after that, basically, well, for that day, later that evening, I'm doing VC. And then there's so much I want to do. First thing, well, not even first thing, I want to finish Log Horizon. I want to watch Makeine. I want to finish my Geometry Dash level that I've been working on, that I put off for an entire 2 months. I started working on it again today, and oh my lord, it feels so good to be back. Dude, I love building in Geometry Dash. It takes forever. It really does, but I love doing it. I have a mystery project that I'm working on that's purely a hobby. Like, I don't expect to make any money off of it ever. It'll never be lucrative, but it's so fun that I think I want to do it anyway, and it could just be in the background as sort of a for funsies thing, while I do other things. And if it happens to make money, then maybe it could become a main thing I do. I don't know. But right now the plan is just something I do when I have free time, which is rare nowadays, but I'm gonna try it out. So I even was doing work for it last night, like a couple hours of it. And I say work, quotations, it's a hobby thing for now. I also have this project that I'm supposed to be, it's for the Neon Echo Sugar Girls, Discord server, for someone in it. I don't want to give too much away right now, but I said I'd work on it, and I said it'd be available to work on it early September. Then the Neon Echo Sugar Girls video went on longer than anticipated, and I didn't get back to them, and I still haven't gotten back to them. I need to do that. That's another person I need to text on Discord, and the person I was working on it with has been real sweet, hasn't bothered me about it at all, so that's great. I love that, and now I can get to that. But my biggest fear in all this is, ironically, the video blowing up. Obviously, I want it to. I need it to. 10 million views would be great. Even 100,000. I'd take that. I would love that. 100,000 views on my passion project that I spent nearly 7 months on would be spectacular. I would even be happy with like 50k at this point. But the thing is, if it gets too big, the piece of advice that many YouTubers have given over the years is that YouTube is momentum-based. So the more you put out, and the more, in rapid succession between videos, the more views you will accrue, and it will sort of snowball, by just keeping up that momentum and not letting your videos get out of people's recommended, because if it's been too long since you've seen a guy's videos, YouTube ain't gonna recommend you their videos. It has recency bias. But if you've just seen someone's video, and they put out another one, then you appear in their feed again, right? And if they liked your first video, they'll probably return for a second try, a little bit of a fucking meal from your favorite YouTuber that they cooked hard on, presumably. At least I did for the NNSG video. But that means that if the video gets big, I, all of a sudden, have a huge pressure, a ginormous pressure, to immediately put something else out. Which is kind of why there's a part of me that wants to delay getting it out of patron-only mode as long as possible. Because right now, my channel's, I wouldn't say dead, but, it's inactive. It's an inactive account, and I don't get many subs per day anymore. I'm growing very slowly. But, when I release the new video, that'll all change. Right now there's not much to lose. But when I put that video back, well, not back up, but when I put that video up, and it starts getting views, all of a sudden, my next choices will determine whether or not this can be my career. And by God, do I want it to be my career. However stressful and fucking insane getting this video out was, I do not want to work my shitty minimum wage job. In fact, a future decompression chamber will probably just be me complaining about it. Because while I was hangry today, I was thinking about all the various problems I have with minimum wage work and the way that stuff is going on at my workplace, especially lately. Because corporate is an asshole. But that's beside the point for now. What I'm actually talking about is, if this gets views, which I think is likely. I gave it the most bait title imaginable, The Mysterious Rabbit Hole of YouTube's Strangest Anime. It's so bait. It's so unbelievably bait. There's so many layers of bait on it. And, it's true enough. People won't feel like I lied to them. But I kinda did lie to them. But at the same time, yeah, I think it does have a good chance at getting big, even though theoretically it's the most niche thing imaginable. It has the broadest marketing possible. Well, not the broadest, but it's I'm casting a wide net, but then you actually watch the video and it slowly drags you into a very particular experience that I think is interesting. At the end of the day, it's very long, so RPM will be high, but it's also very funny. I do a lot of gags. I think basically every joke I make in that video is something that I stand by as being legitimately funny. Plus, there's constant clips shown from funny videos, whether intentional or not. A girl in love, will her future get crushed? So this is our new transfer student. She comes from Alaska. Please say your name. My name is Mochi. I forget what she said next, but that clip lives rent-free in my mind. It's so dumb. And so there's stuff like that in the video to make you laugh, make you cry laughing even. There's some edgelord shit in there. It's got a bit of bite to it. Some of which I was afraid to put into it because I thought it might be going too far. But Neon Echo Sugar Girls has jokes about bestiality and attempted rape in it. So I'm sure my edgy jokes fit right at home. But yeah, the point is, I think, what are the odds of this getting big? If I were to put a percentage chance on it, I know I'm probably overestimating it, but I'd say like 40%? And by big, I mean like 50K. 40% chance at 50K. I think that is about accurate to where it is. Just because I think it's my best marketed video, straight up. It has a great thumbnail. I even did some last minute changes while considering, like, oh, here's how someone's eyes are most likely going to sweep across the thumbnail. You start at the top left corner, end at the bottom right, because that's just how people read thumbnails. According to MatPat, who I do trust. God, my sinuses are so bad. Holy shit. But yeah, going off of that, I changed the thumbnail such that there's something in the top left corner, Vet Sama's tits, that will immediately grab people's attention. You get the big face in the middle that, is very human. You connect to it. You go to the bottom right side, and it's sort of like the Tokyo Crystal Mew girl. Why am I blanking on her name? I should know this by now. Toya Oyama. There we go. Toya Oyama. And she's like looking towards the dark side of the thumbnail, and by that point you've gotten a general gist of like, oh, here's like what the makeup of this thumbnail is, and then you start to focus on all the specifics, and it's like really detailed and intricate, and it really captures your attention. I thought about this way too hard. I really did. And so I think like it also perfectly matches the title, where, you get the dark side, the implied dark side of Nyan Neko Sugar Girls. The strangeness, the rabbit hole. And then obviously you have the left side, which is just, it's also strange. It also reflects it. It's so deep, you guys. So yeah, I try-harded on everything about the marketing. I think it is as engaging as, well, not as engaging as it could be, because once again, I do think the video runs a little too long to justify itself. Like, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't entirely justify its runtime, but I don't think people will complain about it either. I only have that complaint because I had to watch it like a billion times. So I know. I had the biggest chance out of anyone to get bored of this video, but I know that if I watched it for the first time, I would be super engaged by it. So, I think it has a good shot. My best shot in a long time. And it is a pretty legendary video when you watch it. And so, yeah, I think it has a good chance, is what I'm saying. But at the same time, that also scares me, because then the ball is in my court. Then it's my time to shine. It would be much more my time to shine if it weren't for my awful sinuses. God, probably need to go to the doctor again and see if they can prescribe me new allergy medicine, because clearly the current state of affairs isn't working, you guys. It's not going well. I already have a decent idea of what the next video will be, and I think that topic has a good chance of getting big as well, especially with the audience that I will presumably gain from the Nyan Neko Sugar Girls video, if it gets big. And so I know what direction to continue in when I see that it gets a lot of views. It's just that I need to balance it with my exhaustion and mental health, because I shirked a lot of sleep to get this video out, even as timely as it did come out, which is not very at all. So I do know where to pick it up at if it gets big. If it doesn't get big, then there's a lot less pressure to immediately follow it up with something, because I'll just retain the audience that I have, who has already waited 6 months for this video to come out. And so I'm sure they won't mind waiting like an extra month or two for a new one to come out, considering they're already used to waiting. But if I get this new audience, I'll want to capitalize on it. I'll want to get the momentum. And then after that video, that's an alarm on my phone. And then after that video, I have no clue. Genuinely zero idea what I would do after that, but I'll probably have a better idea once I see where both this and probably the next video are going in terms of view count. You know, maybe I fall off after this video, or maybe I don't get many views on the Neon Deco Sugar Girls video, but people see the next one and go, actually, that's my shit. And then they watch the Neon Deco Sugar Girls video and was like, wow, these two videos are like stylistically similar. That's actually the one limiting factor of the Neon Deco Sugar Girls video, which is that it's unlike anything else on my channel, so much so that people who want to watch all my videos will be very surprised by how different everything else is, and how none of it reflects what is good about the Neon Deco Sugar Girls video. My other videos aren't very funny for the most part. They don't have nearly as many jokes per minute. They have oh god, burp. They have a very different personality even. A lot of my other videos are much more dry analysis. And so, it just, you know, that's the limiting factor. And that would be probably, I mean, I feel like this video, it'll get big views, but it won't necessarily get the most in terms of, like, subs or patrons. Maybe it will. Maybe I'm just stuck in my own head. I don't know. But yeah, I've been going on for quite a long time, and my sinuses are getting to the point where it's hard to speak, because my nose is just a brick wall at this point, and no air coming in or out. But yeah, hopefully my voice wasn't too obnoxious to listen to at the very end. And those are my thoughts prior to the video coming out. This will probably come out alongside the video, as I said earlier, just because right now I do talk. I mean, I guess I don't spoil as much as I initially intended, but even still, like, it just makes more sense, I feel, to wait a bit until after the video is actually out. Especially because once, you know, I mean, people who are subbed to this channel and who aren't patrons will just have no fucking clue that it even came out to begin with. So yeah, in conclusion, watch the Neon Deco Sugar Girls video, it's good. And also, subscribe to my Patreon, because I need money. Alright, that's it. Bye.